I don't care who he is. You're not touching her. The words left Rayla's mouth before her brain caught up. Rain hammered the diner windows. For men in black suits froze mid-step. The homeless woman behind her, Mara, stopped breathing. Every fork in Grayson's corner diner hung, suspended in air. The fluorescent lights buzzed. A coffee pot hissed on the burner. Nobody moved. The man in front wore expensive shoes. Water dripped from his leather jacket onto cracked linoleum. His face looked carved from stone. Tattoos crawled up his neck like vines searching for sunlight. His eyes locked onto Rayla's. Cold, calculating, dangerous. One bodyguard stepped forward. His hand drifted toward his waistband. Rayla's pulse hammered in her ears. Her fingers trembled against the coffee pot she'd been holding. Steam curled between them. The guard's jaw clenched. His eyes asked a silent question. Do you understand what you just did? She did. She just didn't care. Have you ever stood between someone and their nightmare? Have you ever chosen a stranger over your own safety? Rayla hadn't planned to, but Mara's bruised wrists told stories nobody wanted to hear. Her trembling hands every morning whispered secrets the city had buried. Something about her felt wrong. Not dangerous wrong. Scared wrong. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The man in the expensive shoes raised one hand. The bodyguard stopped. He tilted his head, studied Rayla like she was a puzzle he'd never encountered. Nobody ever told Lorenzo Arcalo no. Nobody ever stepped into his path. Certainly not a waitress whose name tag hung crooked on a coffee-stained uniform. You don't know what you're protecting, he said. His voice cut through the diner's silence like a blade through warm butter. Rayla's throat went dry. Behind her, Mara whispered something, a sound so small it barely qualified as language. But Rayla heard it, felt it in her bones. Please. That single word carried weight. Terror, recognition. Lorenzo's eyes shifted past Rayla, locked on Mara. His expression changed. Not anger, something rawer, something that looked almost like pain. Mara, he said quietly, it's time to come home. The coffee pot slipped from Rayla's fingers. It shattered against the floor. Hot liquid spread across white tiles like spilled ink. Nobody flinched. Nobody looked down. Because Mara had just whispered 4 words that changed everything. He's going to kill me. What would you do if protecting someone meant destroying your own life? Drop your answer below. Rayla's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She gripped the edge of the counter, breathed through her nose. The shattered coffee pot lay forgotten at her feet. Glass glinted under harsh fluorescent lights. Her reflection stared back from the diner window, distorted by rain and fear. She'd seen plenty of scared people. Houston taught her that lesson early. Men who promised paychecks and delivered bruises. Landlords who knocked on doors at 3 a.m. Bosses who stole tips and smiled while doing it. After her mother died, Rayla learned the world divided itself into 2 groups. People who noticed suffering and people who profited from it. Mara belonged to neither category. She existed in the spaces between. Every morning for 3 months, she'd appeared at the diner's back entrance. Clothes torn, hair matted, apologizing for breathing. Most customers ignored her. Some complained. Old Joe from the gas station once called her a waste of oxygen. Rayla gave her toast, hot tea, a corner booth near the broken heater that somehow still worked. She never asked questions. Questions felt like invasions, like demanding someone explain their survival. But she noticed things. The way Mara flinched when men walked too close. The bruises shaped like fingerprints circling her wrists. The way she checked the door every 30 seconds like something inevitable was coming. Fear had a smell. Metallic. Sharp. It clung to Mara like cheap perfume. Rayla recognized it because she'd worn herself once. Different circumstances. Same terror. Her mother used to say, "Justice isn't loud, baby. Sometimes it's just refusing to move." Rayla hadn't understood then. She'd been 15, watching her mother block a landlord's fist with nothing but her body and her voice. That night changed something, rewired her brain, taught her that power didn't always come from muscle or money. Sometimes it came from standing still when everyone else ran. So when Lorenzo Arcalo walked into her diner with 4 bodyguards and murder in his eyes, Rayla's body made a decision her mind hadn't approved. She stepped between them. The diner held its breath. Rain continued its assault on the windows. Somewhere in the kitchen, a timer beeped. Nobody moved to silence it. Mara's hands clutched Rayla's apron. Her nails dug through fabric into skin. Her whole body shook like electricity ran through her bones. "You don't understand," Mara whispered. "He found me." Who was he? Lorenzo? Someone else? The fear in Mara's voice suggested layers Rayla couldn't see. Secrets buried so deep even light couldn't reach them. But one thing crystallized in that moment. Mara wasn't just running from danger. She was running towards something worse. Have you ever helped someone without knowing their full story? Tell us in the comments. The rain turned violent. Thunder cracked overhead like bones breaking. Lightning bleached the diner white for half a second. Then darkness rushed back in. The overhead lights flickered. Someone gasped. A chair scraped against linoleum. Lorenzo stood perfectly still. Water dripped from his jacket onto the floor. His bodyguards formed a semicircle behind him. Professional, synchronized, trained. Their eyes scanned exits, calculated distances, measured threats. They moved like men who'd done terrible things and slept fine afterward. But Lorenzo didn't look at them. He looked at Mara. His jaw worked. Muscles tensed beneath his skin. His hands hung loose at his sides, not clenched, not reaching. Just waiting. Something flickered across his face. Not anger. Not violence. Something closer to grief. Rayla's stomach twisted. This wasn't a stranger hunting prey. This was personal, old, complicated. Customers watched from their booths. Frozen, an elderly woman clutched her husband's arm. A trucker halfway through his eggs stared at his plate like it might offer answers. The cook peeked through the kitchen window. His eyes went wide. He recognized Lorenzo. Everyone in Milton Harbor did. You didn't run the waterfront for 20 years without becoming a ghost story parents told their children. The door chimed. Cold air rushed in. A fifth man entered. No suit, just a scarred face and rage. He looked past Lorenzo, past the bodyguards, straight at Mara. "There you are," he said. His voice sounded like gravel scraping concrete. Harsh, ugly, wrong. Mara screamed, high-pitched, primal. The sound of prey recognizing its predator. She scrambled backward, hit the booth's table, knocked over salt and pepper shakers. They rolled across laminate with hollow, rattling sounds. Lorenzo's entire body went rigid. His head turned slowly, deliberately. When he saw the Scar Man, something in his expression shifted. Recognition, then fury, pure and cold. "Darius," Lorenzo said. One word, flat, empty, but underneath it ran currents deep enough to drown in. The Scar Man, Darius, grinned. His teeth looked yellow under the lights. A scar ran from his left eye to his jaw. It twisted his smile into something grotesque. "Been looking for her," Darius said. "Thanks for finding her for me." Rayla's brain struggled to process. Two men, both dangerous, both after Mara. But the terror on Mara's face wasn't divided equally. She looked at Lorenzo with fear. She looked at Darius with something worse. Horror. Lorenzo took one step forward. His bodyguard shifted. Hands moved beneath jackets. The temperature in the diner dropped. Violence hung in the air like humidity before a storm. "She's not yours," Lorenzo said quietly. Darius laughed. "Vet. Ugly. Neither is she yours. Not anymore. She made that choice when she ran." Mara's breathing came in short gasps. Hyperventilating. Her fingernails drew blood from Rayla's arm through the apron. But Rayla barely felt it. Her attention fixed on the space between the two men. The distance closing. The inevitability building. Thunder crashed again. The lights flickered. When they steadied, Darius had moved closer. 3 feet from Rayla. 2 from Mara. Close enough to grab. His hand shot out, and Rayla moved without thinking. She snatched the metal napkin dispenser from the counter, swung hard, connected with Darius's wrist. Bone cracked. He howled, stumbled back. Everyone exploded into motion at once. Would you fight for someone you barely know? Como olvido? Darius's howl filled the diner. He cradled his wrist. Blood dripped from where the dispenser's edge had split skin. His eyes locked on Aurelia. Pure atrid. His good hand reached for something under his jacket. Lorenzo moved faster. His fist connected with Darius's jaw. The crack echoed like a gunshot. Darius' spoon crashed into a table. Plate shattered. Coffee exploded across vinyl seats. He tried to rise. One of Lorenzo's bodyguards planted a knee in his spine. Another yanked his arms behind his back. Zip ties appeared from nowhere. Tight. Professional. Final. Darius thrashed. Cursed. Spit blood onto the floor. You don't know what she did. You don't know what she took. Lorenzo crouched beside him, grabbed his hair, forced his head up, their faces inches apart. When Lorenzo spoke, his voice carried no emotion at all. That made it worse. I know exactly what she took, and I know exactly what you did to her. Darius's eyes went wide. Fear replaced rage. Real fear. The kind that comes from understanding you've miscalculated badly. Lorenzo, listen. No. Lorenzo stood, brushed off his jacket, looked at his men. Take him out back. Keep him breathing. For now, they dragged Darius through the kitchen. His protests faded behind swinging doors. The diner fell silent, except for rain and shallow breathing. Customers stared at their tables. Nobody made eye contact. Nobody moved. Terror had a way of turning people into statues. Lorenzo turned to Rayla. His expression unreadable. Blood flecked his knuckles. He didn't wipe it away. You shouldn't have done that, he said. Rayla's heart hammered. Adrenaline made her hands shake. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. He was going to hurt her. Yes, he was. Lorenzo stepped closer. Not threatening, assessing. But now he knows your face. Knows you protected her. Knows you're involved. I'm not involved in anything. You are now. His eyes shifted to Mara. She collapsed into the booth, sobbing, shaking, broken. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. Something flickered across his face again. That same grief from before. Deeper now. Raw. He pulled out a chair. Sat down slowly. Deliberately. Like sudden movements might shatter something fragile. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Softer. Almost gentle. Mara, look at me. She couldn't. Her hands covered her face. Tears leaked through her fingers. I'm not here to hurt you, Lorenzo said. I never was. Liar, Mara choked out. You're all liars. Lorenzo flinched. Actually flinched. Like she'd struck him. His hands lay flat on the table. Open. Unthreatening. I know what Darius did. I know why you ran. And I know about the others. Mara's head snapped up. Her eyes, red, swollen, terrified, locked onto his. You can't possibly. I found the warehouse 3 days ago. Found what was left of it. Found the girls who didn't get out. His voice cracked. Just slightly. Just enough. I found the ledgers with your handwriting. The ones documenting everything. The proof. Rayla's stomach dropped. Warehouse. Girls? Ledgers? The pieces clicked together slowly. Horribly. Trafficking. Mara hadn't been running from Lorenzo. She'd been running from trafficking ring. And she'd stolen evidence. Evidence that could destroy it. Evidence worth killing for. Lorenzo leaned forward. You didn't trust me enough to come home. So you ran. And Darius's crew has been hunting you ever since. Because if that evidence surfaces, they all go to prison, Mara finished. Her voice barely audible. Everyone, even, she stopped, looked at Lorenzo. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Even people in your organization. Your people were involved, Lorenzo. Your people. The silence stretched. Terrible. Heavy. Lorenzo's face showed nothing, but his hands curled into fists. Slowly, like he was fighting something internal. I know, he said finally. 2 words. But they carried enough weight to collapse buildings. Rayla's mind reeled. She'd stumbled into something vast. Something dark. Something that had been growing in shadow for years. And now she stood in the middle of it. Target painted on her back. All because she'd refused to let a scared woman suffer alone. Lorenzo stood, looked at Rayla directly. You saved my sister tonight, whether you meant to or not. But saving her means you're marked. Darius isn't alone. You got a whole network. And they know your face now. Rayla's throat closed. Your sister, half-sister, Lorenzo corrected. Different mothers. Same father. Same legacy. Same curse. He glanced at Mara. She's been trying to destroy our family's empire from the inside, because parts of it deserve to burn. The rain pounded harder. Lightning flashed. Thunder followed immediately. The storm sat directly overhead now. Lorenzo moved toward the door. Paused. Look back. You have two choices, Rayla. Come with us. Let me protect you while we finish this. Or stay here and wait for them to come back. Because they will come back. And next time, I won't be here to stop them. Rayla looked at Mara, at the broken woman who'd trusted her with nothing but silence and gratitude, at the secret that had nearly killed her, at the evidence that could save dozens of lives. Then she looked at her reflection in the window, at the ordinary waitress who'd just assaulted a human trafficker with a napkin dispenser. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. Justice isn't loud, baby. But sometimes it was violent. Lorenzo waited, patient. The door stood open. Rain blew in. Cold, sharp, unforgiving. If I come with you, Rayla said slowly, I want the truth. All of it. No lies. No protection. I want to know exactly what I'm walking into. Lorenzo's lips curved. Not quite a smile. Fair enough. And I want your word that Mara stays safe. No matter what that evidence says. No matter who it implicates. His expression hardened. Even if it implicates me? Rayla met his eyes. Didn't blink. Especially then. The diner held its breath. A test hung in the air between them. Lorenzo studied her. Measuring. Calculating. Then he nodded once. You have my word. He extended his hand. Rayla stared at it. At the blood still on his knuckles. At the tattoos crawling up his wrist. At the hand of a man who ruled through fear and violence. A man whose organization had enabled horrors. But also a man who just destroyed someone trying to hurt his sister. Complicated didn't begin to cover it. She took his hand. His grip was firm, warm, surprisingly gentle. Welcome to the war, Rayla Monroe, he said quietly. If you had to choose between safety and truth, which would you pick? Let us know. The rain followed them. 3 cars, tinted windows, engines purring like predators. Rayla sat in the back seat beside Mara. Lorenzo rode up front, silent. His bodyguard drove with mechanical precision. No wasted movement, no hesitation. They navigated empty streets, slick with water. Streetlights blurred past. Storefronts stood dark and hollow. Rayla's mind wouldn't stop spinning. 20 minutes ago, she'd been pouring coffee. Now she sat in a car with a mafia boss and his half-sister. A woman who'd stolen evidence from human traffickers. Evidence that could topple an empire. Evidence people would kill for. She'd chosen this. Chosen truth over safety. Chosen involvement over ignorance. Her mother would have understood. Would have done the same thing. Would have said, sometimes you don't choose the fight, baby. Sometimes the fight chooses you. Rayla remembered the night clearly. She'd been 15. Their landlord had come drunk and angry. Demanding rent they didn't have. Demanding other things too. Things that made Rayla's skin crawl. Her mother had stood in the doorway. Blocked him. Refused to move. He'd raised his fist. And her mother hadn't flinched. She just looked at him. Really looked. And said 5 words that changed everything. You will not touch her. The landlord had frozen. Something in her voice. Something absolute. He'd lowered his hand. Stumbled away. Never came back. Her mother had closed the door. Locked it. Then collapsed against the wall and cried for 20 minutes. Later, she told Rayla, being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you're terrified. Rayla felt terrified now. Her hands shook in her lap. Her heart wouldn't slow down. Every car that passed felt like a threat. Every shadow held potential violence. She'd stepped into a world where mourning kindness had consequences measured in blood. Beside her, Mara stared out the window. Silent tears tracked down her face. She looked smaller now, fragile, like she might shatter if someone spoke too loud. Rayla wanted to comfort her. But what could she say? It'll be okay? That felt like a lie. Nothing about this felt okay. Where are we going? Rayla finally asked. Lorenzo answered without turning. Somewhere safe. Temporarily. How temporary? Depends on how fast we move. Move where? Do what? He glanced back. Rain streaked the window behind him. city lights reflected in his eyes. You want a truth. You'll get it. But first you need to understand something. The network Darius works for isn't small. It's connected. Police, politicians, business owners, people who benefit from keeping certain things quiet, people with power. Rayla's stomach twisted. In your organization? Parts of it were compromised. People I trusted were taking money to look the other way. Some were actively participating. His jaw clenched. I've been cleaning house for 6 months. Quietly, carefully, but I didn't know how deep it went until Mara ran. Mara spoke for the first time. Her voice sounded like broken glass. I found the ledgers by accident, in Father's old office. After he died, it documented everything. Names, dates, locations, money trails. I thought you knew, Lorenzo. I thought you were part of it. I wasn't. His voice carried weight. Pain. But I should have known. Should have seen it. That's on me. So, you've been hunting me to get the evidence? I've been hunting you to protect you. He turned in his seat, looked directly at her. The moment you ran, they knew someone had found proof. They've been tearing the city apart. Looking for you. Darius was just one soldier. There are others. And they won't stop until you're dead and that evidence is destroyed. Rayla interrupted. Or until the evidence goes public. Lorenzo's eyes shifted to her. Sharp. Calculating. Exactly. Which is why we're going to do something very dangerous and very stupid. What? He smiled. Cold. Dangerous. We're going to give them what they want. The car turned down a narrow alley. Brick walls rose on both sides. Water pooled in potholes. They stopped behind a nondescript building. No signs. No lights. Just darkness and rain. The driver opened Lorenzo's door. Then Rayla's. Cold air rushed in. She stepped out. Puddles soaked through her shoes. Mara climbed out beside her, shaking, vulnerable, lost. Lorenzo led them to a metal door. Knocked 3 times. Paused. Knocked twice more. The door opened. Warm light spilled out. A woman stood in the entrance. Older. Gray hair pulled back. Kind eyes. But her hands held a gun with professional familiarity. Lorenzo, she said. Nodded. Stepped aside. They entered a narrow hallway. Plain walls. Concrete floor. It led to a larger room. Comfortable. Lived in. Couches. Bookshelves. A kitchen in the corner. Safe house. The woman locked the door behind them. Multiple locks. Heavy bolts. She holstered her gun. Looked at Mara. Her expression softened. Baby girl, she said quietly. We've been so worried. Mara broke. Completely. She ran to the woman. Collapsed into her arms. Sobbed against her shoulder. The woman held her. Rocked her gently. Whispered things Rayla couldn't hear. Lorenzo turned to Rayla. That's Loretta. She helped raise us after our parents died. She's one of 3 people in this city I trust completely. Rayla watched Mara cling to Loretta. Watched the older woman comfort her with practiced ease. Watched family reveal itself in unexpected forms. What's the plan? Rayla asked. Lorenzo walked to a table, pulled out a laptop, opened it. The screen glowed blue in the dim light. Mara hid the ledgers. Digital copies. Encrypted. Protected. Only she knows how to access them. We're going to retrieve them. Make copies. Distribute them to every news outlet, every federal agency, every law enforcement branch that isn't compromised. We're going to burn the entire network down. Publicly. Completely. And the people who want her dead, they'll come for us. Hard. Fast. Violent. Which is why we need to move tonight. Before they regroup. Before they realize where Mara is. He looked at Rayla. You could still walk away. This is your last chance. After this, there's no going back. Rayla thought about her diner. Her quiet life. Her simple routine. She thought about Mara's bruised wrists. About the girls who hadn't escaped the warehouse. About the evidence that could save lives. She thought about her mother's words. Do the right thing even when you're terrified. I'm not walking away, Rayla said. Lorenzo nodded. Almost smiled. Good, because I'm going to need your help. With what? The ledgers are hidden in the one place they'd never think to look. A place Mara knew they'd never search. He pulled up a map on the laptop. Zoomed in. Highlighted a location. Rayla leaned closer. Read the address. Her blood went cold. "No," she whispered. "That's your diner," Lorenzo finished. "She hid them in your diner, Rayla, which means we have to go back." The rain hammered harder against the windows. Thunder cracked overhead. Lightning bleached the room white. And somewhere in the darkness, enemies were already moving. "Would you risk everything to expose the truth? Tell us what you'd do." The back entrance stood open. Rain poured through the doorway. Water pooled on the kitchen floor. Rayla's stomach dropped. She'd locked that door herself. Hours ago, before Lorenzo walked in, before everything changed, someone had been here. Lorenzo raised his fist. His men stopped, silent, professional. Weapons appeared from under jackets. They spread out, checked corners, moved through the kitchen like shadows learning to walk. Rayla's pulse hammered in her ears. The diner felt wrong. Empty, but not empty. Like something invisible watched from the darkness. "Clear," a bodyguard whispered. They moved into the main dining area. Tables sat exactly where Rayla left them. Salt shakers, laminated menus. The broken coffee pot still scattered across the floor. But something felt off, displaced, violated. Lorenzo scanned the room. His eyes missed nothing. Where did she hide them? Mara stood in the doorway, trembling. Her voice barely carried. "The corner booth, under the seat cushion. There's a tear in the vinyl." I pushed the flash drive inside the phone. Rayla's mind spun. 3 months. Mara had been coming here for 3 months. Sitting in the same booth, hiding evidence under Rayla's nose. Using her kindness as cover. She should have felt angry, used, but she only felt cold. Lorenzo moved toward the booth. His hand reached for the cushion. Glass shattered. The front window exploded inward. Bullets tore through the diner. Tables splintered. Walls erupted in clouds of dust and plaster. Someone screamed. Maybe Rayla. Maybe Mara. Sound compressed into chaos. Lorenzo dove behind the counter. His bodyguards returned fire. Muzzle flashes lit the darkness like lightning. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. Huh. Metallic. Wrong. Rayla hit the floor. Her cheek pressed against cold linoleum. Glass rained down. Sharp. Endless. A bullet punched through the wall above her head. Another shredded the booth cushion. Foam exploded like snow. "Get them out," Lorenzo shouted. Strong hands grabbed Rayla, dragged her toward the kitchen. She twisted, searched for Mara, saw her crawling toward the booth, toward the evidence. Even now, even bleeding, even dying. "Mara, no." Rayla screamed, but gunfire swallowed her voice. The world tilted, narrowed, reduced itself to survival and terror, and the question nobody wanted answered. Would any of them leave this diner alive? Have you ever been in the wrong place at the worst time? Comment below. The gunfire stopped. Silence rushed in. Worse than noise. More threatening. High-pitched. Constant. She tasted copper. Blood. Her own. She'd bitten her tongue when she hit the floor. Her hands shook so badly she couldn't control them. Lorenzo crouched beside her, his jacket torn, blood on his shoulder. Not his, someone else's. His eyes scanned her face, checking for damage. "Can you move?" She nodded, couldn't speak. Her throat had closed. "Stay low. Follow Jamal. Don't stop. Don't look back." He pressed something in her hand. Cold. Metal. Heavy. A gun. Safety's off. Point and squeeze. That's all you need to know. Rayla stared at the weapon. She'd never held one before. Never wanted to. Her fingers wrapped around the grip. Foreign. Terrible. Necessary. Across the diner, Mara had reached the booth. Her hands tore at the cushion. Ripped vinyl. Pulled foam. Searched desperately. Blood streaked her arms. Glass embedded in her skin. But her face showed only determination. Focus. Purpose. She found it. The flash drive. Small. Black. Innocent looking. The thing people were dying for. The thing that could destroy empires. She held it up. Triumph flashed across her face. The front door exploded open. 3 men rushed in. Tactical gear. Night vision. Military precision. Not street thugs. Professional killers. Hired muscle. The kind of people who treated murder like paperwork. Lorenzo's bodyguard, Jamal, fired twice. Center mass. One attacker dropped. The others scattered. Found cover. Returned fire. Bullets chewed through the counter. Through tables. Through everything. Mara screamed. Clutched the flash drive. Ran toward the kitchen. Toward safety. Toward Rayla. But one of the attackers tracked her movement. Adjusted his aim. His finger tightened on the trigger. Lorenzo moved. Impossibly fast. He crossed the space between them. Slammed into Mara. Knocked her sideways. The bullet meant for her chest hit Lorenzo's leg instead. He grunted. Fell. Blood spread across the floor. Dark. Fast. Arterial. Mara crawled to him. Pressed her hands against the wound. No, no, no. Go, Lorenzo gasped. His face had gone pale. Shock setting in. Take it. Run. Finish this. I'm not leaving you. You already did once. Do it again. Do it right. He grabbed her wrist. Pressed a flash drive into her palm. Closed her fingers around it. Make it mean something, Mara. Make all of this mean something. Tears poured down her face. But she nodded. Stood. Turned toward Rayla. Their eyes met across the destroyed diner. Two women who'd never asked for this. Never wanted it, but inherited it anyway. Rayla saw her own fear reflected back. Her own determination. Her own refusal to let evil win just because it wore expensive suits and carried guns. Jamal grabbed both women. Pushed them through the kitchen. Out the back door. Into rain and darkness and uncertainty. Behind them, gunfire erupted again. Lorenzo's voice rose above it. Commanding, defiant, buying them seconds with his blood. Rayla ran. Her legs moved on autopilot. The gun felt like fire in her hand. Like responsibility. Like consequence. Mara ran beside her, clutching the flash drive. Clutching proof. Clutching hope wrapped in plastic and silicon. They reached the car. Jamal shoved them inside. Started the engine. Tires screamed against wet pavement. The diner disappeared behind them. Rayla twisted in her seat. Watched it shrink. Watched muzzle flashes light the windows like dying stars. Watched the place where she'd serve coffee and kindness become a war zone. Mara sobbed. He's dying because of me. Everyone dies because of me. Rayla grabbed her hand. Squeezed. Then make sure they don't die for nothing. The car raced through empty streets. Toward dawn. Toward truth. Toward whatever came next. Would you sacrifice yourself for someone else's justice? Tell us. The safe house door burst open. Loretta stood in the entrance. Gun raised. Ready. She lowered it when she saw them. Her face shifted from combat ready to grandmother in seconds. Dear God, where's Lorenzo? Shot, Jamal said. He kept his voice flat. Professional, but his hands shook on the steering wheel. Femoral artery. Maybe. I don't know. We had to leave him. Loretta's face went hard. She pulled out her phone. Dialed. Spoke in rapid code. Medical terms. Addresses. Urgency wrapped in calm. She hung up. Looked at Mara. You have it. Mara held up the flash drive. Her hand trembled. Blood and rain covered her clothes. Glass cuts lined her arms. But her grip stayed firm. Everything. Every name. Every transaction. Every location. Proof that'll put them all away forever. Then we upload it. Now, before they regroup. Loretta grabbed the laptop from the table. Connected the drive. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Windows opened. Files appeared. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Years of crimes compressed into data. Rayla watched the screen scroll past. Names she recognized. City officials. Police captains. Business owners. People who smiled in public and destroyed lives in private. People who'd built empires on broken bodies and silent suffering. The scope of it made her sick. How many victims? How many years? How many people who looked the other way because it benefited them? We send this to everyone, Loretta muttered. She typed furiously. Email addresses multiplied. News organizations. Federal agencies. State prosecutors. Independent journalists. Saturate the system. Make it impossible to suppress. Make it impossible to ignore. Mara collapsed into a chair. Exhaustion claimed her. Or shock. Or both. She looked at Rayla with hollow eyes. I'm sorry. I used you. Your diner. Your kindness. I knew if I became a regular, if I seemed helpless, nobody would suspect. Stop, Rayla interrupted. Her voice came out harder than intended. You did what you had to survive, to fight back. I'm not angry. You should be. Maybe, but I'm not. Rayla sat beside her, the gun still heavy in her hand. She set on the table, carefully, like it might explode. You could have run, could have saved yourself. Instead, you stole evidence, risked everything, to save people you'll never meet. That takes guts. Mara laughed, bitter, broken. Guts or stupidity, sometimes they're the same thing. Rayla looked at Loretta, at the older woman fighting her own war, through keyboards and connections, through information and exposure. Different weapons, same battle. Will this work? Will I actually stop them? Loretta hit a final key, sat back. It's uploading now. 62 different locations. Encrypted, timed release. Even if they shut down one, the others keep going. By morning, every news outlet in the country will have it. By noon, federal warrants. By evening, arrests. And Lorenzo? Loretta's face showed nothing, but her jaw tightened. He knows the risks. He chose them, same as all of us. The laptop beeped. Upload complete. 70%. 80. 90. The percentage climbed. Inevitable. Unstoppable. Justice moving at the speed of light. Outside, car engines roared. Tires screeched. Doors slammed. Footsteps pounded the pavement. Dozens of them. Moving fast. Moving organized. Coming here. Loretta grabbed her gun. Checked the magazine. Looked at Jamal. Back exit. Blocked. They're surrounding us. Windows. Third floor. Long drop. Then we hold position. She turned to Mara and Rayla. Her voice shifted. Gentle now. Final. Listen carefully. There's a room in the back. Reinforced door. Lock yourselves inside. Don't come out until you hear my voice. Not Jamal's. Not Lorenzo's. Mine. Understand? Rayla understood perfectly. Loretta was saying goodbye. The upload hit 100%. Success. The laptop screen confirmed it. Files distributed. Received. Opened. The truth had escaped. Nothing could stop it now. Nothing could bury it. The empire would burn. Just not fast enough to save them. Someone kicked the front door. Metal screamed. Hinges bent. Another kick. The door held. Barely. Loretta chambered around. Smiled at Mara. Your father would be proud. The good parts of him anyway. The parts that mattered. Mara's face crumpled. Loretta, go. Now, let us finish this. The door exploded inward. When justice costs lives, is it still worth it? Share your thoughts. The reinforced door slammed shut. Rayla twisted the lock. Heavy. Industrial. Built to withstand sieges. Outside, gunfire erupted. Immediate. Overwhelming. The walls shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Mara pressed her hands over her ears. Squeezed her eyes shut. Try to block out the sounds of people dying to protect her. Rayla searched the room. No windows. One door. Concrete walls. A safe room. Literally. Shelves lined one wall. Supplies. Water. Medical kits. Weapons. Everything needed to survive or fight. Or both. She grabbed a water bottle. Forced Mara to drink. Breathe. Focus on breathing. Nothing else. Mara choked down water. Her whole body shook. They're dying. Loretta. Jamal. All of them. Because evil people don't like being exposed. That's on them. Not you. Rayla's voice stayed firm. Anchoring. Her mother used to do this. Create calm through certainty. Even false certainty. Even when the world burned. The files are out. Nothing stops that now. Even if they kill everyone in this building, the truth survives. That's supposed to make me feel better? No. It's supposed to remind you why they died. So you honor it. So you keep fighting. So you don't let their sacrifice become nothing. The gunfire intensified, then stopped. Abrupt. Complete. Silence crashed in. Worse than noise. Final. Rayla's chest tightened. She listened for voices. For movement. For any sign of who won. Nothing. Footsteps approached the door. Slow. Deliberate. Heavy boots on concrete. They stopped outside. Something scraped against metal. Testing the lock, maybe. Searching for weakness. Finding none. A voice called through the door. Male. Unfamiliar. Cold. We know you're in there. We know you uploaded files. Doesn't matter. We've got lawyers, connections, money. We'll bury it. We always do. Rayla didn't respond, didn't move. Silence was strategy. But maybe we make a deal, the voice continued. You come out. Give us the original drive. Walk away. Live your lives. Forget this happened. Everyone wins. Mara looked at Rayla, question in her eyes. Desperation. Hope. The temptation of survival. Of ending the nightmare. Of choosing peace over principle. Rayla shook her head. Mouthed one word, lie. Because men who traffic humans didn't make deals. They eliminated threats. And two women who'd exposed them, they were threats. Would always be threats. Walking away wasn't an option. It never had been. The voice hardened. Fine. We'll wait. Door opens eventually. Everyone needs food, water, air, and when it does, glass shattered somewhere in the building. New sounds. Running. Shouting. Orders barked with authority. Different voices. Official voices. Federal agents. Weapons down. Hands up. Now. The man outside the door cursed. Footsteps retreated. Fast. Panicked. More shouting. More movement. The chaos of rats abandoning a sinking ship. Of criminals realizing the game had changed. Of power shifting in real time. Someone knocked on the door. Mara Linden? Rayla Monroe? This is Agent Deshaun Morris with the FBI. You're safe now. We need you to open the door. Rayla didn't move. Didn't trust it. How do we know you're really FBI? Because Loretta Washington called me 30 minutes ago. Told me to get here fast. Told me evidence was uploading. Told me to bring everyone. A pause. She also told me Rayla's mother was named Yvette. And she used to make peach cobbler that can make grown men cry. Is that accurate? Rayla's breath caught. Loretta knew that? How? When? She moved to the door. Hand on the lock. Loretta. Is she alive? Wounded? Asking for you both. Rayla unlocked the door. Opened it slowly. A black man in FBI tactical gear stood outside. Badge visible. Gun holstered. Kind eyes. Real eyes. Behind him, agents secured the building. Zip-tied suspects. Documented evidence. Transformed crime scene into justice scene. Agent Morris looked at Mara. You're the bravest person I'll meet this year. Maybe this decade. What you did, exposing this network, you saved lives. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. They want to meet you. The girls you saved. When this is over, when trials finish, they want to say thank you. Mara started crying again, but different tears this time. Relief, release, validation, proof that her nightmare served purpose. That suffering could transform into salvation if someone was willing to fight. They walked through the safe house, past overturned furniture, past bullet holes, past evidence of violence, but also past evidence of victory. The traffickers lay cuffed on the floor, faces down. Defeated, Loretta sat against the wall. Paramedics worked on her shoulder. She looked up, smiled. Told you, mine was the only voice you'd hear. Rayla knelt beside her. You called the FBI before we even got back. Called them when Lorenzo told me the plan. Insurance. Because hope's not a strategy. Evidence and federal warrants? That's a strategy. She grabbed Rayla's hand. Squeezed. You did good, baby. Your mama would be proud. Outside, dawn broke. First light painted the sky orange and gold. A new day, literally and figuratively. The city woke to headlines, to expose crimes, to warrants and arrests and systemic collapse, to proof that evil could be stopped if good people refused to look away. But one question remained unanswered. One person unaccounted for. Lorenzo, would you trust strangers to fight for justice? Let us know. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and fear. Rayla walked through hallways painted beige. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Patients shuffled past in gowns and defeat. She'd always hated hospitals. They reminded her of endings, of her mother's last days, of losing people to things nobody could control. Room 347. The nurse had said, 3rd floor, East Wing, critical but stable. Whatever that meant. Alive. Probably. Maybe. She pushed the door open. Lorenzo lay in bed. Pale. Tubes running from his arms. Monitors beeping steady rhythms. but his eyes opened when she entered. Alert, sharp, still dangerous, even wounded. You're alive. So are you, Rayla said. She pulled a chair close. Saturday. They said you lost a lot of blood. Said you almost didn't make it. Takes more than a bullet to kill me. Trust me, people have tried. He shifted, winced, pain breaking through medication. The files, everywhere. Every news station, every federal agency, every state prosecutor. Your network's done. Finished. Arrests started an hour ago. They're estimating 60 people, maybe more. Charges ranging from trafficking to money laundering to racketeering. Good. He closed his eyes. Relief washed over his face. Mara, protective custody. FBI's keeping her safe until trials. She's talking, testifying, destroying everyone. Rayla leaned forward, including people in your organization, people you trusted, people close to you. This is going to cost you everything. Lorenzo, your empire, your legacy, your father's name, all of it burns. He opened his eyes, looked at her. I know, that's the point. Silence stretched between them. Comfortable, earned. Two people who'd survived hell together, who'd chosen principle over survival, who decided some things mattered more than safety. What happens now? Rayla asked. When you get out, when trials end, what's left? Lorenzo smiled. Weak, genuine. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe prison, maybe witness protection. Maybe I rebuild something clean, something that helps instead of hurts. Maybe I just disappear. He looked at her. What about you? The waitress who started a revolution with coffee and kindness. Rayla laughed. Short, surprised. I don't know either. The diner's destroyed. My quiet life's gone. I'm probably going to testify too. Face people who want me dead. But she paused. Searched for words. I feel like I finally did something that mattered. Something my mama would understand. Justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's just refusing to move. Your mother was wise. She was scared, but she moved anyway. Taught me that fear and courage can exist together. That choosing right over easy defines who you are. Rayla stood, prepared to leave. Stopped. Turned back. Lorenzo, thank you. For protecting Mara. For stopping Darius. For taking that bullet. For choosing to destroy your own empire to save people you'll never meet. Don't thank me yet. Trials last years. Plenty of time for things to go wrong. Maybe. But today, right now, you chose right. That matters. She left the room. Walked back through beige hallways. Past suffering and healing. Past endings and beginnings. Outside, cameras waited. Reporters. Questions. The story had gone national. International. The waitress and the mafia boss who exposed a trafficking empire. Hollywood couldn't write it better. Netflix probably already bought the rights. Mara waited by the entrance. FBI agents flanked her. She looked stronger now. Color returning. Purpose replacing fear. She saw Rayla. Smiled. Ready to face the cameras? No, but we're doing it anyway. They walked out together. Into sunlight and flashing cameras and questions shouted over each other. Into their new normal. Into lives forever changed by choosing kindness over comfort. By choosing truth over silence. By choosing to stand between evil and its victims even when standing meant bleeding. The reporters surged forward. Rayla, how did you know Mara needed help? What made you stand up to Lorenzo Arcalo? Do you feel like a hero? Rayla raised her hand. Silence fell. She spoke clearly. Simply, I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who refused to look away. Who chose to help instead of judge. Who decided that kindness matters even when it costs everything. Anyone can do that. Anyone can choose to see suffering and respond. That's not heroic. That's human. And if this story inspires even one person to help someone they normally ignore, to stand up when it's scary, to choose right when it's hard, then every bullet, every nightmare, every loss was worth it. She looked at Mara, at the woman she'd saved by accident, by routine compassion, by refusing to let fear win. Heroes are just people who decide someone else's life matters more than their own comfort. That's it. That's the whole story. The cameras clicked, recording, broadcasting, spreading the message. Tomorrow, arrests would continue. Trials would begin. Justice would grind forward. Slowly, imperfectly, but forward. And somewhere in Milton Harbor, a new waitress would start shift, would see someone struggling, would face the choice Rayla faced, would decide whether to help or ignore, whether to risk or retreat, whether to be ordinary or extraordinary. Rayla hoped she'd choose well, because sometimes saving the world starts with saving one person, with one sandwich, one cup of tea, one refusal to look away, one choice to stand when everyone else runs. The cameras kept rolling, the story kept spreading, and Rayla Monroe, ordinary waitress, accidental revolutionary, proof that kindness could topple empires, walked into her future with her head high and her conscience clear. Justice wasn't loud, but today it was enough. If this story moved you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that inspire change. Share your thoughts in the comments and inspire others. What would you do if kindness asked you to risk everything? Your answer might change someone's life. See you in the next story.